Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chats. Marvellous Monday. Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are. If you think it's Get Rich Quick, you're in the wrong place. This is the wrong podcast. This is the wrong live for you. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all awesome and well.
There it is, team. We are live. I'm in full control of the tech today too, team. So look out, right? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. I'm going to muck around with some things in here and have some fun today. Listen, team, if you wherever you're tuning in this morning for another Wealth Coffee Chat, if you haven't sort of seen me around, haven't sort of heard of us tuning in for the first time, perhaps, or if you're a regular, welcome back. Team, my name is Cass. I represent the R&W property management team, part of the overall 6-star team here at Positive Group. And like I said, if you haven't sort of seen us around on a Wednesday morning, we jump on and talk all things property management. What does that mean? We talk about helping you hold your property for a very long time, right? In that consolidation period. And we find, property management, holding property for a long time might be a little challenging at time, as we've been jumping on and discussing together. And today's another little insight and some information this morning to, I guess, help you guys move forward with your investment, which is really cool. So team, let me do something here. Today's conversation, 3 significant changes for Queensland property investors that I want to share with you guys in the property management space. If you've been tuning in regularly, about a month ago, we sort of touched on some of these things. If you're tuning in, you've got property in other states and territories, not to worry, because what I'm going to cover today has already impacted you guys. And so we're just going to talk about what they are. We're going to try and, unpack what they mean, and then what that sort of what you as a property investor and with your property management team can do moving forward. So 3 significant changes for Queensland property investors is what we're going to do. Team, throughout this morning, if there's any questions, please pop them in the chat. Love you guys to get involved as much as you can. So please pop that in the chat. So team, let's jump over. Just a couple quick people jumping on. Brendan. No, Jason's off today. Lucky him. You got me this morning, Brendan, but he'll be back tomorrow. And Jeff, I can see. G'day, mate, to you and Bunty. A few others jumping on here. So awesome stuff, team. Thanks for jumping back on. For those that know me, property management has basically been my life for the past 13 years. It's something I'm super passionate about. Certainly in this marketplace anyway, you're seeing significant rent growth, right? And what we are seeing is sometimes the holding cost of property is affecting some of these landlords and property owners across the country. Certainly seeing a lot of sales appraisals and people wanting to sell. Is that the right decision? I'm not too sure. Maybe maybe chat to your coach about that one. But today, team, 3 significant changes for Queensland investors. I'll stop rambling. Let's get on with it, team, in that space. So what are they? All right, so let's look at this, team. Now, let me get this working. We're on the right track. You guys might know, maybe you're not the best articulator on the iPad, but we're going to give it a crack. Another world today. So there's 3 things, team. Right now, if you've been in the news, if you've been reading the news, if you're seeing REIQs, the government statutory bodies up here in Queensland, they have passed the bill on a few things for stage 2 rental reforms. I'm going to take you through what they mean today. Number 1, we're just going to discuss rent bidding. What is that? What does it mean? Number 2, rent in advance. We're going to talk about this one, a bit of a curly one. Number 3, we're going to talk about rent increase frequency. Now, for those of you guys, you're probably well aware of what's going on. And so maybe I don't need to explain it in full detail, but I want to just talk to you guys about how this might play out with investors here in Queensland. And like I said, if you've got property in Victoria, this has come in a few years ago now. And you'll also find, your property manager. What we say here, what we believe in is that your property manager is your number one person on your team through the consolidation and holding phase of your investment journey, in respect to they are your eyes and your ears on the ground to make sure they're keeping you safe and making you wealthy. So some of the stuff we're going to talk about is in the keeping you safe realm. And I'm certainly going to try and explain this morning why, if we get this wrong, why you may not make as much wealth and not maximize your revenue, which is all we're about. Team, tell me in the chat if you got your investment property and you're looking to maximize your rent. Pop a yes in the chat for me. I'm gonna take the assumption you all are. I certainly am. So that's what we're here to do. So, team, rent bidding. Let's talk about that a little bit for the moment. So, team, to clarify, rent bidding is already unlawful in Queensland and the other states. Obviously, it's in respect to not encouraging or soliciting, obviously, above advertised prices and things like that. It's obviously to get a fairer go, I suppose, for the tenants, right? So that's all good. Why is it important to know that? Well, team, a lot of this stuff, I know I'll sit here and say, we want to maximize revenue, but it's about being prepared. It's about having the right strategy and setting up the right strategy. It's about identifying your property manager's ability to negotiate and how that skill set is. And that could be more towards the lease renewal part of the deal. Because, team, what I found specifically over the last 18 months with this significant rent growth, and for most markets, right, it's 10, 20+% rent growth per year, and probably likely to continue, right? The question for you guys, team, is have you got a 5 out of 10 property manager right now, or have you got a 9 out of 10 property manager, right? No one's perfect, but have you got a 5 out of 10 property manager who's maximizing your rent, keeping you safe, making you wealthy, or is it a 9 out of 10? So these things here, these changes are coming. Rent bidding, it's unlawful already. We can't ask or solicit offers higher, and we can't accept that. The key difference with this bill that's passed, which will come into effect basically immediately up here in Queensland, like I said, for other states, it's already in play. The key difference is that we can no longer accept that higher offer, right? No silent auctions, no going back and forth, no playing a tenant off each other, right? So what does that mean? Does that mean if you've advertised a property for $700 a week and someone comes and offers you $750, can you accept that? The answer is flat no, right? So we got to get really good at strategy. We got to get really good at setting rent prices. One of the biggest problems right now is property managers not setting the rent correctly because they're not doing the market research. They're not looking at having that conversation in a correct way, let's say. So, at the end of the day, if we're not setting rents correctly because we don't have the right information, if we're not marketing the property correctly, if we're not presenting the property correctly, if the agent is not presenting themselves correctly at the open homes, chances are it's going to cost you thousands in annual gross revenue, which is not what we want, right? So rent bidding, super important to be aware of. It was already unlawful. Key difference is that you can no longer accept, property managers can no longer accept the price higher than the fixed advertised price. Number two, we mentioned here, rent in advance. What does that mean, right? In the marketplace today, currently, a tenant can offer rent in advance for a period of time, and you can accept it, right? So it's specifically relating to the beginning of the process, the application process. And, in past episodes, team, we've spoken about what that might look like. But I suppose, during that app process, it's about creating a fairer, level playing field again. That's kind of the message from the government, right? So what that means now with the new laws and the new bill that has passed is during this process, when a tenant applies, if you are setting a general tenancy agreement, which is, let's call it fixed term, right? You can no longer accept more than 4 weeks, right? If you're doing a periodic lease, it's 2 weeks. So if you're leasing your property today, someone applies for the property and they are offering 3 months, 6 months, 12 months of rent in advance, which might be their preference and might be their way of doing things, the bill that has passed no longer allows you to accept that term and condition. Okay, so 1 month max on a fixed term general tenancy. However, get this, during the tenancy, right? During the tenancy, it is lawful to accept rent in advance if the tenant wishes to then pay. So 3 months, 6 months goes by, the tenant contacts us property managers or yourself as the investor if you're self-managing, and they want to pay 6 months rent up front because that's what suits them, or that's their preference, or they might have got some cash from a property they've sold, whatever it might be. It is then lawful during the tenancy to accept that rent in advance, right? Key difference there. I'll pause there for a second. Hope you all got your coffee this morning. I certainly am. The Powered by Purpose, I'm sort of full of beans this morning, team. But number three, because I know we're running short on time, is the rent frequency, right? We've been speaking about it for a long time now. I read an article over in WA that it won't be too long, and WA will move to annual rental increases. So that's kind of standard across the board, across the country. Fair and reasonable, all good there. Which, our message has been, again, we need a really good rent reviews, right? We get one crack at it per year. We need to understand the data, understand the marketplace, at a macro level and a micro level for that matter. So now with rent frequency and how often you can increase rent, as we say, every 12 months. However, in Queensland, right, and I'm going to try not to go on a rant here, but the annual rental increase in Queensland from this bill that has passed will now be attached to the property and not the tenancy. Right? Everyone following me? The rental increase will attach to the property, not the tenancy. What does that mean? Right? What does Jeff say here? I'll get that up. Where's creative building? Yeah, Jeff. So sales agents, right, in Queensland need to pay attention to this. And I don't know if they are, but they're going to need to, right? Property managers, they're going to need to pay attention to this. You guys as an investor, if you were in the marketplace now or into the future in Queensland and you're going to buy a property, it might be an existing home with a tenancy in place, right? And there's a fixed term. It's got 6 to 9 months to go, right? When you buy that property, if there has been a rental increase done, we need to, obviously, there's going to be some contractual and logistical things that need to change in contracts. And anyway, that's a separate matter. We won't go into that. But the rental increase is now attached to the property. So if I've leased the property today and 6 months later, the tenant decides to break the lease, right? They've bought a property, awesome. They move out. We go to market the property again. We need to re-advertise it. We do the open homes. We get an application. We're going through that process, right? The market from 6 months ago, for argument's sake, has jumped 10%. What do we do? Well, with this new bill that's passed, we can no longer increase that rent, right? now that we're 6 months into that lease, what do? Do we lease the property out on a 6-month lease so it falls back in line with the annual 12-month increase? Or, you could understand from the tenant's perspective, they're probably wanting 12 months lease because it gives you or gives them a bit more security, potentially, a bit more clarity there, which we can understand. So there's going to be some conversations that are going to need to be had. There's going to need to be a little bit more thought process into the length of leases, because we need to certainly match it with when the last rental increase was done on the property. And team, if you think you can get away with it, you can't. A tenant has the right to absolutely request a copy of the lease agreement and as proof to ensure that they're not being taken advantage of in that space, which is all fair and reasonable. So my point is, we need to adhere to these new legislation items that have been passed. Now, there's a range of other miscellaneous stuff that's come out around bonds, around what's the other thing they were talking about? It's lost off me at the top of my head. Entry notices and things like that, extending from 24 to 40 hours, all good. But the main things, team, as we're saying, rent bidding, rent advance, rent frequency. I guess, look, these new laws, these new bills doesn't stop us from moving forward, right? Just want to be really clear. Just get a message here from Brendan when this takes effect for those at the back. Yeah, so Brendan, the bill just passed last week, and basically there hasn't been a date for execution as yet, or the assent as they call it. But generally speaking, it will probably come this week. It's basically immediately. It's basically taking effect now. So anything as we operate today moving forward, we'll need to adhere to these rules, mate. Yeah, on that one. So, these laws are extensive and they're significant. It doesn't necessarily change the way you invest, of course. Don't let it do that to you. We keep moving forward. It's about keeping you safe and making you wealthy, and your property management teams need to be chatting to you about it. Like I said, sales agents need to pay attention, right? So if you're selling or you're looking to buy, you need to make sure that is, meeting requirements, because team, there's significant fines, for teams out there, for owners out there, and we don't want that to happen. Obviously, we're about maximizing revenue, not creating costs for no reason, of course. So, team, it's about keeping you safe and making you wealthy, right? These three things are significant. They are extensive. However, it's all about being prepared, getting a better strategy, holding people accountable, right? Making sure you guys have got a 9 out of 10 property manager, not a 5 out of 10 property manager. Because I can tell you, team, at a 5 out of 10, this is not going to work. Conversations are not going to be had. It's going to be very poor communication across the board. And we need to look after the tenants, of course, because they're looking after our biggest asset. So, bit of information. It's probably a lot of information, team, for this morning. If there's any questions, please pop that in the chat. I've certainly got another minute on here, so I'll just put my email. I know a couple of you guys have reached out over the last sort of 7 to 8 days, which has been awesome, so I appreciate that. Sometimes these things can pose more questions than anything. Sometimes you guys might want a bit more clarification in what I'm talking about, which is totally fair and reasonable. And what I would say, team, is just drop me an email and I'll certainly get back to you in that space, because, we don't want to do it the other way, team. That's for sure. So my job today is to keep giving you guys some insight, keep giving you guys some information, making sure you guys are making better decisions, some strategic decisions, I should say. And, then we can move forward, team, and the holding phase will be so much easier, right? So, team, that is basically me done and dusted today. I'll just see if there's any final questions before I jet. Jeff says, no one will do a 6-month lease, a tenant loses again. Yeah, and that's the thing, Jeff. Before this bill was passed, it was like, there was probably no reason to do a 6-month lease unless it was circumstantial. However, with the rental increase now on the property, not the tenancy, maybe it's another thought we need to have a strategy around to ensure that property investors still get their fair share or fair go, moving forward, team. So I'm going to pause there because I'm out of time. Team, thanks for jumping on again. Thanks for all the questions. You're reaching out. I really appreciate it. I hope that information this morning was was good. If it's not, let me know. We will certainly find another topic to talk about. There's plenty to talk about. But team, don't forget, tune in tomorrow, Thursday, another Wealth Coffee Chat. Jason is back, and we will go from there, team. So Roman says, can it be disputed? Yes, you can, Roman. You can go to QCAT. I might send me an email. We might have to. There's a bit to that one. Might have to cover that next time. But team, that's it. Tune in tomorrow. Jason's back for another Wealth Coffee Chat. That's me done and dusted this morning, team. So thanks so much, team. Enjoy your Wednesday.
Episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6-Star team here at positivementor.com.au.